We moved to Bangkok for a new beginning. That's what we told ourselves. A change of scenery, a new culture, an adventure we could share. But even in the most beautiful cities, you can feel more alone than ever. My husband got a job offer here, something important. And I followed. I always followed. He's a good man, loyal, quiet, steady. We've been together for over 10 years, but somewhere along the way I stopped recognizing us. He worked long hours, came home exhausted, fell asleep with the TV on. I missed being touched, being looked at like I was more than furniture. I missed being wanted, and I felt guilty for even feeling that way. I thought I was the problem, too old, too distant, too invisible. Then one afternoon I found this little cafe tucked down a quiet soy. It smelled like roasted almonds and jasmine tea, soft jazz playing, peaceful. And that's when I saw him. Ren, young, maybe 10, 12 years younger than me. Japanese, minimalist, polite, but his eyes, they held something bold. He looked at me like I wasn't invisible, like he already knew how lonely I was. He asked if he could sit at my table. I said yes. We talked about the city and how beautiful and overwhelming it could be. He told me he'd been here 3 years, working freelance as a designer. He was soft-spoken, but confident, not afraid of silence. And for some reason, I told him things I hadn't said aloud in years. I laughed. I leaned in. And something inside me cracked open. I told myself it was harmless, but every word we shared felt like a secret. And every glance felt like the start of something I couldn't control. The first time he touched me, it wasn't even sexual. It was his hand on the small of my back as I stepped down from the curb, but I felt it in my stomach, in my thighs, in every part of me that had been asleep for years. He didn't make the first move. I did. I kissed him in the rain outside his apartment building, and when he pulled me inside, it was like my body remembered a language I thought I'd forgotten. It wasn't about love. It was about feeling alive. Every touch felt like discovery. He didn't rush. He worshipped. And I melted. We'd meet in quiet places, hotels, his apartment. I stopped checking my reflection for flaws. I started checking it for fire. And yet, every night, I'd come home to the man I married. He never questioned me. He never doubted me. He was still the man who made my tea just right, who folded my clothes without being asked. And that was the hardest part, because I was betraying someone who still believed in me. I started looking him in the eyes and saying I love you while smelling like another man's skin, and I hated myself for it. Ren didn't ask for more. He never pressured, but he saw it too, the weight of the guilt growing in my chest. One night, as we lay tangled on his couch, he whispered, "We can't keep doing this." One night, as we lay tangled on his couch, he whispered, "We can't keep doing this." I looked at him, my heart aching. "I know," I said, "but I didn't want to stop. Not yet. Not until I had to." Every stolen moment with him was like tasting freedom. I was reborn. But I knew this chapter was closing. Soon. I wanted to tell my husband. I needed to. But fear held me back. How do you confess something so broken? How do you admit that the woman you married had slipped away into another's arms? When I finally did, it wasn't dramatic. No shouting, no tears, just silence. My husband looked at me with a pain deeper than I could explain. Then he asked, "Did you love him?" And I told the truth. No. It wasn't love. It was escape. And now, I want to come home, even if home doesn't feel the same anymore. Because sometimes, the hardest thing to do is to face yourself and ask for forgiveness, not just from others, but from yourself. Click the link to watch more twisted love tales. Like, comment, and subscribe for the next story, told from his point of view.